It's Wednesday, August the 20th. You're listening to News Wrap with me, Ben Che.
And I'm Priscilla Ng. In tonight's program, China is to showcase an array of new weapons at its V-Day parade next month.
In this military review, we're demonstrating to the world our national defense capability to show to the world that the Chinese people cherish peace.
A market boom helps Hong Kong's stock market operator achieve its best half-yearly revenue and profits.
Israel calls up 60,000 reservists ahead of a planned offensive to seize Gaza City.
And in sport, excitement builds up before the start of the second match in the Saudi Super Cup at the Hong Kong Stadium.
That's all coming up next on News Wrap.
China says it will showcase a number of new weapons and demonstrate a revamped military structure at a parade in Beijing next month. The event marks the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Chinese People's War of Resistance against Japanese aggression and the World Anti-Fascist War. President Xi Jinping will review the troops lining up in formations along Chang'an Avenue on September the 3rd. Wendy Wong has our top story.
At a news briefing on the V-Day parade, officials said a series of new weapons will be unveiled. These include hypersonic precision strike missiles and unmanned intelligent equipment that can operate on land, sea and in the air. They will be seen along with electronic jamming devices, anti-drone systems, next-generation tanks and carrier-based fighter jets. Officials said the joint armament formations would be arranged to reflect their roles in real combat scenarios as the parade debuts a new structural layout of the armed forces. Major General Wu Zeke from the Joint Staff Department of the Central Military Commission said the parade is meant to demonstrate China's national defense capabilities. He spoke through an interpreter.
War is like a mirror to show how valuable peace is. We are commemorating to defend peace. In this military review, we're demonstrating to the world our national defense capability to show to the world that the Chinese people cherish peace, remember history to cherish peace, and are determined to defend the outcomes of the victory of the war.
Major General Xu Guizhong from the Political Work Department of the People's Liberation Army Central Theatre Command said the parade preparations are being used as a chance to build combat discipline by training command coordination and support capabilities, particularly through high-intensity drills involving new equipment. He said the parade itself helps to enhance the PLA's capacity for joint operations by integrating multiple types of equipment and aircraft into single formations. He spoke to an interpreter.
Tens of thousands of people, hundreds of aircraft, and hundreds of ground equipment will be mobilized for the parade. To ensure perfect alignment, precise coordination, and flawless timing, it is no less than fighting an actual battle.
Officials said the 70-minute event will feature 45 formations and stressed that it is being organized in a strictly economical, practical and efficient manner to reduce costs.
Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing has posted its best half-yearly revenue and profit following a stock market boom. As Chloe Feng reports, the city has become the world's top fundraising market.
The city's stock market operators said the revenue and other income in the first 6 months of 2025 soared 33% from a year ago to nearly $14.1 billion, boosted by record high volumes in the money and equity markets and higher investment income. Profit jumped 39% to $8.5 billion over the same period. Revenue and profit for April to June also reached record quarterly highs. Its interim dividend of $6 per share is up 38% from a year ago. Group Chairman Carlson Tan said the results demonstrated a remarkable strategic advancement across all markets. He said despite the ongoing macroeconomic volatility and dynamic geopolitical landscape, the company's dynamism and resilience bolstered its competitiveness. The average daily turnover in securities trading stood at about $240 billion in the first half of the year, up 118% from the same period in 2024. The Stock Connect program, both northbound and southbound, also achieved a record half-yearly turnover. The city's initial public offering market, meanwhile, was ranked first globally during the period with 44 new listings. Total funds raised in Hong Kong surged to more than $109 billion, up 716% year-on-year. The listing by battery maker and tech firm CATL was the world's largest since 2023. Mr. Tong said as Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing celebrates its 25th anniversary, it aims to deepen its role as the pivotal gateway between China and the world. The group's chief executive, Bonnie Chan, said business growth came as the firm continued to diversify its product ecosystem to strengthen the city's listing frameworks. She said initiatives in the second half of the year include shortening the cash market settlement cycle and expanding paperless listing regimes.
A couple linked to a scandal involving bottled water supplied to government offices have been arrested for a second time. As Elvis Yu reports, customs officers are looking into whether they lied about where the water came from.
A 61-year-old company director and his 57-year-old shareholder wife were first arrested by police on Sunday on suspicion of fraud. The man later appeared in court, accused of providing officials with false documents to win a $52 million water contract. His wife was not charged and was released on bail. Now customs officers have arrested the pair on suspicion of violating the Trade Descriptions Ordinance. Tommy Kwok is head of Customs Trade Descriptions Investigation Bureau.
Our investigation revealed that the bottled water provided to the Government Logistics Department by the involved supplier contained false manufacturer information.
It's thought the water came from a plant in Zhangwu-tou, Dongguan, rather than the mainland supplier it was claimed to have been sourced from. Mr. Kwok said officers will go to Zhangwu-tou as part of their investigation. The government has since terminated the water contract, with Financial Services Chief Christopher He saying there have been problems and inadequacies in the tendering process.
A number of cross-harbor bus routes had to be diverted this morning due to a cave-in on a road in Wan Chai. Wallace Wang has the details.
Police said they received the report of the road subsidence at around 8 a.m. after a 1.5-meter deep hole measuring half a meter in width and length appeared on Gloucester Road near Mart Road. A water pipe burst was also reported at the site of the incident. The Transport Department said the only lane of Inner Gloucester Road towards Central near Mart Road was closed to traffic, and motorists were urged to take other routes. Some cross-harbor bus services were affected as authorities closed off the immediate area. The Water Supplies Department said on its social media page that the water main involved in the incident was a pipe with a diameter of 450 millimeters. The pipe supplied flushing water to residents in Causeway Bay, Happy Valley, and Tai Hang.
The Water Supplies Department says it expects to repair the water pipe tonight with the aim of resuming flushing water supply tomorrow morning.
Researchers at the University of Hong Kong's Faculty of Medicine say people who were told they are allergic to penicillin should undergo tests because about 90% may have been wrongly diagnosed. Charlie Chen reports.
The researchers analyzed over 4,700 knee replacement procedures performed at Queen Mary Hospital between 1993 and 2021. They found that those believed to have a penicillin allergy were 5 times more likely to develop a periprosthetic joint infection after surgery, requiring further treatment. The team said during surgical procedures, those thought to have the allergy are given alternatives to penicillin, which are less effective and increase the chances of complications. But actual testing for the allergy is not common, the researchers said. Dr. Philip Lee led the research.
Usual people will not feel this is a big issue. They've been labeled for decades of their life. It's never really affected them. But now we realize actually even in situations like this, where a patient needs surgery and we know this is a very common surgery, it may affect the outcome, it may affect the type of surgery. And therefore actually having this very common so-called penicillin allergy label does have a big consequence on the overall healthcare and the long-term outcomes of the patients.
The researchers have launched a pilot scheme at the university's community pharmacy to allow people to have tests to see if they are allergic to penicillin. They said the program has been well received by patients since it began last year, and they hope it can be expanded to other community pharmacies in future.
A man and a woman have been taken to hospital with burns to their hands after a fire broke out at a metal hut in Shek O. Police said the structure on Shek O Village Road caught fire at around 1 p.m. Firefighters put out the blaze in an hour.
Shares of Chinese toy maker Mart jumped 12.5% today after its net profits surged by 400% in the first half of this year compared with the same period last year. The stock also rose on the company's prediction that it is well positioned to reach its target revenue of 20 billion for this year. Chloe Feng reports.
The firm's rise came amid a global collection frenzy over the cute but cheeky Labubu toys, designed by Hong Kong-born artist Long Ka-sing. Demand for Labubus soared after its keychains were spotted on the backs of celebrities, including Rihanna and K-pop band Blackpink's Lisa. Mart will launch a mini Labubu that can be attached to phones as early as this week, according to the company's chief executive Wang Yi. The Beijing-based company said the first half revenue jumped 204% year-on-year to 13.9 billion yuan, with net profit soaring 396% to 4.6 billion yuan. Its Monsters toy series raked in 4.8 billion yuan, accounting for almost 35% of the revenue. Mart says it is now pushing ahead with its global expansion plan by leveraging the craze for Labubus, as overseas revenue jumped 440% to 5.6 billion yuan between January and June. Meng Duk-yi, the group's co-chief operating officer, expects the number of its foreign stores to surpass 200 by the end of the year, up from the current 140. He noted that Mart will open its first store in Doha, Qatar later this year and will establish flagship stores and travel retail outlets in Paris, Sydney, Milan, and New York.
Turning to business news now, and China's exports of rare earth magnets hit a 6-month high in July, with Germany, the United States, and Vietnam being the top 3 importers. Shipments of the items needed for electric vehicles and wind turbines jumped 75% from June to almost 5,600 metric tons. In Japan, official data showed that the country's exports suffered their steepest drop in more than 4 years last month because of U.S. tariffs. Shipments were down 2.6% from July last year, with goods bound for the United States plunging 10%. Hong Kong stock market edged up today, with the Hang Seng Index gaining 0.2% to close at 25,165 points.
In overseas news, Israel's defense minister has approved a plan to seize Gaza City, according to his ministry. He also authorized a call-up of about 60,000 reservists for the operation. The United Nations, meanwhile, said Gaza now has the world's largest population of amputees who have little hope of treatment or rehabilitation. On the diplomatic front, Qatar and Egypt say the ball is now in Israel's court after Hamas accepted a truce proposal mediated by the 2 Arab states. Azam Khan reports.
Israel has yet to officially respond to the latest proposal that would see a 2-month pause in hostilities in Gaza and enable more aid to enter the besieged enclave. The White House says U.S. President Donald Trump is mulling over the proposal as well, as international condemnation mounts over Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to completely occupy Gaza. The United Nations, meanwhile, highlighted another crisis plaguing the coastal strip. It says Gaza is home to the largest number of child amputees in modern history, as doctors are often forced to remove limbs to save lives in hospitals that are barely functioning. Local health data estimates at least 4,800 amputations since the war began, many of them among children. Much of Al-Shifa, Gaza's largest hospital, lies in ruins. Wards are crammed with child patients, while supplies remain critically low. Among them is youngster Mohammed Hassan.
I was going to buy falafel. When I came back, before reaching home, I looked up and saw the missile falling on us. I tried to run, but it was too fast. I found myself thrown up against the wall, and when I looked, my leg was gone.
Another child, Shad, described how she lost her left arm.
I was standing in front of our house when shrapnel hit me, and I was injured and lost my arm. I wish they would give me a prosthetic arm so I can move again.
Gaza's government media office reported that nearly 19,000 children have been killed since Israel launched its offensive against the Palestinian enclave in October 2023. The overall Palestinian death toll has now exceeded 62,000, including at least 263 who died in recent weeks from hunger.
Another 51 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed in Israeli attacks in the past 24 hours, according to officials in the enclave. 7 of those killed were seeking food for their starving families.
Australia and France have hit back at accusations made against their leaders by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. This comes after Canberra and Paris said they will recognize a Palestinian state. Lau Hanteng has the details.
Australia's close relationship with Israel appears to be unravelling. Israel was outraged when Canberra declared last week that it will recognise Palestinian statehood. On Monday, Australia cancelled the visa of far-right Israeli politician Simcha Rothman on the grounds that his speaking tour would cause division. Israel retaliated by revoking the visas of Australian representatives to the Palestinian Authority. Then, in an outburst on social media, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese of betraying Israel and abandoning Australia's Jews, and branded him as a weak politician. Mr Albanese said he didn't take the comments personally, but Australian Home Affairs Minister Tony Burke said Mr Netanyahu's comments were a sign of a frustrated leader.
Strength is not measured by how many people you can blow up or how many children you can leave hungry. Strength is much better measured by exactly what Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has done, which is when there's a decision that we know Israel won't like, he goes straight to Benjamin Netanyahu. He has the conversation. He says exactly what we're intending to do.
France, meanwhile, lashed out after the Israeli leader accused President Emmanuel Macron of fomenting anti-Semitism. Mr Netanyahu reportedly said anti-Semitism in France rose in the past month after Mr Macron announced the decision to recognise a Palestinian state. Paris said the Israeli leader's allegation was erroneous, adding that it's a time for seriousness and responsibility and not for manipulation.
U.S. President Donald Trump says his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin might not want to make a deal to end the conflict in Ukraine. Mr. Trump's statement came after Russia launched its biggest drone and missile attack on Ukraine in more than a month. The assault followed a White House meeting between the leaders of the United States, Ukraine, and major European countries. The talks ended with Mr. Trump trying to arrange a meeting between the Russian and Ukrainian presidents. The U.S. has pledged to help Ukraine, but will not send ground forces. Caroline Levitt is a White House press secretary.
The president has definitively stated U.S. boots will not be on the ground in Ukraine, but we can certainly help in the coordination and perhaps provide other means of security guarantees to our European allies. The president understands security guarantees are crucially important to ensure a lasting peace, and he has directed his national security team to coordinate with our friends in Europe and also to continue to cooperate and discuss these matters with Ukraine and Russia as well.
Russia, meanwhile, has played down the prospects of an early meeting between Mr. Putin and the Ukrainian president. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says there should be solid groundwork before any summit.
We are not declining any form of work, either bilateral or trilateral. The main thing is that any format like 1+1, 1+2, and multilateral formats are not for the sake of someone writing in the newspapers in the morning or showing on TV in the evening. Step by step, gradually, starting from the expert level and then going through all the necessary steps in order to prepare the summits. This is the kind of serious approach we will always support.
India and China have agreed to resume direct flights and step up trade and investment. This came as Foreign Minister Wang Yi ended a visit to New Delhi. During his visit, he met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who will soon travel to China for a summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Jamie Clark has more.
Mr. Wang has concluded talks with the Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval for the 24th round of border talks. As reported by the Xinhua news agency, Mr. Wang and Mr. Doval had comprehensive, in-depth and fruitful communication on the China-India boundary question and bilateral relations. The Indian Foreign Ministry said, without elaborating, the talks covered issues related to pulling back troops both countries have amassed on their Himalayan border, delimitation of borders and boundary affairs. According to a readout of the meeting released by the Foreign Ministry in Beijing, Mr. Wang told Mr. Doval that the stable and healthy development of China-India relations is in the fundamental interests of the two countries' people. Mr. Wang said the two sides should enhance mutual trust through dialogues and expand cooperation, and should aim for consensus in areas such as border control and demarcation negotiations. For his part, as he opened talks, Mr. Doval said there has been an upward trend. Borders have been quiet, there has been peace and tranquility. Our bilateral engagements have been more substantial. After his meeting with Mr. Wang, Mr. Modi posted to social media, stable, predictable, constructive ties between India and China will contribute significantly to regional as well as global peace and prosperity.
Britain has dropped its demand for U.S. tech giant Apple to provide a backdoor that would have enabled access to the encrypted data of millions of users. That's according to U.S. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who said a deal has been reached after lengthy talks with British officials. Our UK correspondent Peter Anderson told Janice Lowe that the incident had been gaining traction in the past few months before the latest twist.
This is the latest twist we've seen in recent hours in what has been seen as an unprecedented tussle between one of the world's largest technology companies and a national government. The issue first became public in February when it was revealed that the UK ministers were seeking the right to have access, if needed in the future, to protected encrypted data held by Apple customers. If successful, the UK government would potentially have been able to access anything held by customers on the iCloud, such as photos, documents, and any other personal notes. It's understood that the UK saw this as a national security issue, for example, in targeting suspected criminals and terrorists. However, Apple has sought to fight the request, arguing that even it as an organisation can't view the data, which is protected by its ADP, or Advanced Data Protection Security Tool. With other tech companies and even American politicians becoming involved, it is understood that the UK government has now backtracked, dropping its efforts to access the protected data.
And what happened in the past few days for this deal to materialize?
Well, that's the intriguing thing, Janice. This is all governed by what is known here in the UK as a technical capability notice. And that is when the government will serve this on an organisation, typically a technology company. However, this technical capability notice is kept secret by law. So there is no comment from Apple at the moment. There is no comment from the British government or from the US government, apart from, as you say, Tulsi Gabbard, the US Director of National Intelligence. So the whole issue has been cloaked in secrecy since it first emerged in February. And indeed, it was only legal action by media organisations, including here in the UK, over recent weeks and months, that have actually forced any details to come into the public domain. So we're not sure of what has been the prompt for the UK supposedly backing down. But what we have seen over recent weeks and months is a huge groundswell of opinion against the UK government and its suspected efforts. For example, civil liberties groups have said that this is a violation of public privacy. We have seen US politicians saying that this was an attack on US cybersecurity and have been urging the US to rethink its intelligence sharing with the UK. And even Tulsi Gabbard herself has described this as a violation of US citizens' privacy. So the exact reason for the turnaround, and indeed final confirmation that the turnaround has definitely taken place, we cannot confirm, but it does seem that the UK government ministers have had to buckle to this huge pressure that it has come under for what has been seen as a potentially very dangerous move in gaining access by a national government to secret data, secret documents that are held by members of the general public.
The time is now 6:24. Sports is next.
Good evening, I'm Todd Harding. We start with football. The second match in the Saudi Super Cup kicks off at the Hong Kong Stadium at 8 tonight. The winners of the clash between Al-Qadsiya and Al-Ahli will take on Al-Nassr in the final on Saturday. Al-Nassr were inspired by Cristiano Ronaldo as they fought hard for a 2-1 win over Al-Ittihad last night. Fans packed the stadium to watch the Portuguese legend and some of the other biggest names in football, as Hayley Yip reports.
From the first whistle, Cristiano Ronaldo's yellow and blue team looked determined to dictate the tempo. Their early pressure paid dividends and they broke the deadlock with a moment of sheer quality from Sadio Mane. Found in space inside the box, the Senegalese star unleashed a volley that, despite a touch on the Ittihad goalkeeper, possessed too much power rippling the net to send the Al-Nassr faithful into raptures. However, the momentum shifted before the break. Al-Ittihad found their way back into the tie with a slick equalizer. Steven Bergwijn, arriving at pace on the left flank, met a cross with a perfectly timed sliding effort that flew into the back of the net, ensuring the sides went into halftime locked at 1-1. The match turned on its head moments into the first half when Mane was shown a straight red card for a foul on Ittihad keeper Al-Shankidi, forcing Al-Nassr to play the entire remainder of the match with just 10 men. A lightning counterattack was finished with precision by Joao Felix, sending the team into the final.
Al-Nassr manager Jorge Jesus commended his players and praised them for battling on despite losing key striker Sadio Mane.
The team understood well the dynamics that needed to be had when playing with less players, which was the case, and we surprised our opponents twice. It was another reason. We're in the final, deservedly so. Congratulations to the players who, in the space of 25 days, with concerted effort, produced the fruits of our labors that we were expecting, because we are prepared to enter into the final match, God willing.
Over in Spain, Real Madrid opened their new La Liga campaign with a 1-0 victory over Osasuna, courtesy of an early second-half penalty from Kylian Mbappe. His goal was just enough to seal the points in new manager Xabi Alonso's first game in charge at the Santiago Bernabeu, with Madrid now unbeaten in their opening fixture of a league campaign since 2008. Off the pitch, Liverpool's Mo Salah has been named this year's Professional Footballers Association Player of the Year. The 33-year-old Egyptian is the first player to win the prestigious award on 3 occasions, having taken home the trophy in 2018 and 2022. Turning to tennis, where Carlos Alcaraz and Emu Raducanu's mixed doubles partnership at the US Open came to an early end, as the pair were sent packing by top seeds Jack Draper and Jessica Pegula. Other big names to fall early included Novak Djokovic and Venus Williams, who were defeated in their respective doubles appearances. Carlos Escueta has more.
On the first day of the revamped mixed doubles tournament at Flushing Meadows, doubles experience still reigned over singles stardom. Fresh off his title run in Cincinnati, world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz was in a good mood, showing up on the court all smiles with Britain's Emma Raducanu. But the potential of the young dynamic duo was never realized. Their partnership lasted 51 minutes after being eliminated by top seeds Jack Draper and Jessica Pegula in straight sets of 4-2. Under the new mixed doubles format, a set is won by first to 4 games. Another high-profile pairing of Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud had better luck, reaching the semifinals after defeating home favorites Frances Tiafoe and Madison Keys. They were joined by defending champions Andrea Vavasori and Sara Irani, who outlasted Karolina Muchova and Andrei Rublev 4-1, 5-4. World number 1 Jannik Sinner, who retired from the Cincinnati title clash with an illness, withdrew from the event. This year's mixed doubles competition saw 8 pairings based on the combined singles rankings and 8 wildcards, a big move that left some doubles competitors on the fence.
Carlos Escueta reporting, and that is our look at sports.
Thanks, Todd. And before we go, the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, mainly cloudy with 1 or 2 showers. The minimum temperature will be about 27 degrees tomorrow morning. There'll be sunny periods during the day with a maximum temperature of around 32 degrees. Winds will be light to moderate southerly. Looking ahead, mainly fine and very hot during the day in the following couple of days. The weather will become unsettled later on Saturday, and it's going to be windy with a few squally showers on Sunday. There will be swells as well, and it's still going to be showery early next week. Right now at the observatory, 30 degrees Celsius with the relative humidity standing now at 76%.